Rogan thinks that the UFC is going to pay it. Rogan thinks that the UFC will pay the $30 million to get Jon Jones in there with Tom Aspinall. I'm not sure he gets to 30, but if you ask for 30 and you get 20 or you get 15.
We were talking about Jon Jones. I'd heard a rumor that Jon Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. And I did hear that rumor. And I did hear that the UFC said yes, but it is not true. So Dana contacted me, said that rumor's...
Hey, Joe Rogan talks about stuff, and at times Joe can be out there. But a lot of times when Joe Rogan speaks mixed martial arts, it tends to happen.
And as we know, Jon Jones that kind of shied away from fighting Tom Aspinall leading up to the Stipe fight, which was an absolutely stroke of genius in terms of marketing, because it drove the demand through the roof, sky high, made it the fight that everybody wants to see. Well, guess what? The man is going to get paid properly, more than likely. That's the rumor.
And I just don't like him. And at the end of the day, if I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say I want that money, honestly. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Or else my life is perfect without him. I don't need him at all. But he needs me. And that's a good place to be in a negotiation.
Joe Rogan alleges that UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones is demanding an outrageous $30 million to battle Tom Aspinall, which has the fighter in the news everywhere right now. Although former two-division champion Daniel Cormier doesn't think the UFC would pay Jon Jones $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall, Joe Rogan thinks Jon Jones should get the money he seeks. However, UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier, a former rival of Jon Jones, has denied the rumors that the current UFC heavyweight champion has demanded a huge sum of money, reportedly $30 million, to face the interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall. Cormier also says he doesn't believe that Jones would have been offered such a large purse. Conor McGregor is the only person the UFC can pay these figures to. Conor McGregor comes back to fight and goes, "I want $30 million to fight," Daniel Cormier said. The UFC thinks about it. Why? Because the gate was $22 million when Conor McGregor was set to compete during International Fight Week. Sustainable business. If you plan to pay such kinds of figures, you must be able to maintain your company. Daniel Cormier backed up his assertion by dissecting McGregor's enormous impact and how he has been a major attraction for the UFC in recent years. Conor earns $22 million at the gate, Cormier added. Conor is sponsored. Conor sells between 1.5 and 2 million pay-per-views. You can almost see why it would happen when Conor McGregor says, "Give me the $3 million. Jon Jones may or may not do it. Daniel has been straightforward in his opinions, believing that McGregor brought in a significant amount of money for the business and that Jon Jones must have done something comparable to earn such a large sum. The former UFC star compared the gate earnings of Jones and Conor McGregor, noting that while Jones had provided a gate of $16 million, it was still less than McGregor's $22 million.
Let me look at the gate from Madison Square Garden. UFC 3, let's see. Jones versus Miocic gate. Yeah. According to CEO at a $16 million gate. That's a massive gate. That's a massive gate from Jon Jones. Okay. How many pay-per-views did they?
The current heavyweight champion, Jon Jones, has expressed desire in taking on the light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. Nevertheless, Jones is more likely to face the interim heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones has been contacted by Aspinall to compete for the championship, but the heavyweight champion demands a hefty sum to take on the Wigan man. Jones claims that he finds Aspinall annoying and will only give him a chance to win the title if the UFC offers him a sizable sum.
He's annoying to me. He's annoying to me. And that's my own personal, he annoys me. I get to you guys, you find it entertaining. But I find him annoying. And I just don't like him. And at the end of the day, if I give him the opportunity to fight me, I want to be so compensated. I want to say I want that money, honestly. And that's just what it is.
The UFC community is buzzing about Jones's statement, and Daniel Cormier acknowledged that he doesn't think Jones would get paid much for his fight with Aspinall, but he also thinks Jones didn't seek an absurd amount. The former combatant went on to say that Jon Jones should be granted his wishes. According to Cormier, Jones's request is reasonable because the heavyweight fighter's sponsors are wealthy and can meet his expectations. Now when you start looking at it like that, you start going, Cormier posted on his YouTube page. I don't know if his ask is as crazy as people are saying, he continued. Whatever you do do on pay-per-view, you can do 16 million at the gate. Or the fight night. You have sponsorships. You are bringing them on, but those aren't yours. However, there are now sponsors on fight night, so the request isn't as absurd. Additionally, responding to the money that boxers are currently earning. Additionally, Daniel Cormier remembers that fighters were not given as much money as they are now. The pay was nowhere near what the top fighters are paid today. When I competed for heavyweight and light heavyweight titles 5 years ago, Daniel added. I'll tell you guys, as someone who has sold pay-per-views and been involved in major fights, Daniel Cormier stated. As the heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, he was at the top of the UFC pay scale at the time, and $30 million was a huge difference from what we were earning before. Joe Rogan's stunning statement during a recent episode of his podcast, featuring comedians Krista Stefano and Giannis Papas, sparked the controversy around Jon Jones's price tag. According to Joe Rogan, Jon Jones will receive $30 million from the UFC for his bout with Tom Aspin. Joe even expressed his hope that the UFC would give Jon Jones the money he is requesting.
Or Aspinall.
Aspinall.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Aspinall. I think they're trying to come to some sort of an agreement. The rumor is that he wants $30 million, and that the UFC is going to pay it. Hopefully. I hope they pay it.
I agree with him, though.
Joe Rogan, a well-known podcaster and UFC star commentator, recently acknowledged that the rumor that he was wanting $30 million to fight Tom Aspin was untrue. Joe stated that there is nothing like that and that these stories are untrue, but he also believes that the UFC may pay him to arrange this battle if Jon Jones were to demand such a sum. According to Joe Rogan, he spoke with Dana White, the CEO of the UFC, and he verified that these $30 million rumors are untrue.
Talking about Jon Jones, I'd heard a rumor that Jon Jones wanted $30 million to fight Tom Aspinall. And I did hear that rumor. And I did hear that the UFC said yes, but it is not true. So Dana contacted me, said that rumor's... So I felt obligated to tell everybody that was a fake rumor.
Joe Rogan added that he couldn't recall who informed him about the heavyweight fighter Jon Jones' possible price tag because the session was recorded 2 weeks ago. Jones may soon retire from professional wrestling, according to Joe. When Theo Vaughn, a guest on his show, asked him what he believed would be the best price tag for Jon Jones, the UFC voice responded this. The heavyweight fighter should, in Joe Rogan's opinion, begin considering retirement since it is the ideal time for him to step away from the sport and finish his career on a high note.
Do you think the amount is that Jon Jones would fight him for, or do you think it's an amount?
Well, apparently Jon is thinking about retiring.
Yeah.
And he should. I mean, he's going to have to someday. He should. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm saying he should think about it.
According to Joe Rogan, Jones is always free to do what is best for him. Rogan claims that Jones is a legend in the sport and that he is free to return whenever he so chooses. The only issue is that Jones needs to make a decision because he can't have the title for very long. Jones can come back at any time to challenge Aspin for the title. According to Rogan, Jones is still in good shape and can regain his former level of fitness with a few months of training.
The man, all the time he wants, he can fight whenever he wants to fight. That's Jon Jones. He's the GOAT. So leave him alone. If he decides one day to come back, and he comes back and he wants to fight Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight title, the question is, like, how long are you allowed to hold on to the title before they start having that conversation? Now, he just knocked out Stipe Miocic, so give the man months. Give the man 5 or 6 months. Just leave him alone. But at a certain point in time, you have to decide who the heavyweight champion.
The supporters also believe that Jon Jones would benefit from this choice. The heavyweight champion has many options, according to Joe Rogan. If Jones retires this year and his mind changes later, the UFC star has the power to go back to the cage and reclaim the title. Rogan said Jon can choose whether he wants to face Tom Aspinall now or in a year.
As the interim heavyweight champion, and Jon decides he doesn't want to fight anymore, he could do that. And he could do that also and then come back in a year and fight for the title. He could do that. He could do whatever he wants.
Given that the heavyweight sensation has only lost one fight in his career, and that was due to a disqualification rule, Joe Rogan further recognized Jones' outstanding career. He is certain that Jon Jones is well known in MMA and has earned all the respect and money he has earned through his career's hard work and dedication. You know what? Said Joe Rogan. Jones' career was incredible, with the exception of being disqualified due to a regulation that has since been overturned. He never lost. He is the greatest of all time. When he retires, he has a lot of money and the chance to pursue acting. The MMA community, meanwhile, is taken aback, and the majority of them don't believe the UFC would award Jon Jones $30 million because they don't think his bout with Tom Aspin will bring in that much money. The news that Jon Jones is requesting $30 million for his battle versus Tom and Aspin also stunned Chael Sonnen. Since it doesn't seem plausible that the UFC would pay Jon Jones such a large sum of money for this bout, Chael suggested that Joe Rogan may have misinterpreted or misspoken. The former UFC fighter expressed his amazement that someone like Joe Rogan thought Jon Jones.
Joe Rogan put out, and I can only think that Joe misspoke. Joe's not this dumb. He heard that Jon's going to get $30 million. And I just share with you, like, he must have misspoke. There's no way that he did hear that on any level of good authority. And if he did hear that on good authority, there's no way that he was foolish enough to have believed it. But that is fiction.
Cha's son added that he is certain that the heavyweight champion would face F versus Tom Aspin on a recent edition of Good Guy Bad Guy, and that Jon Jones is merely messing with his followers. According to CH Sun Nan, the fight between Jay Jones and Tom Aspin is confirmed to take place in 2025.
Can't get too into Jon Jones's wheelhouse, but I'll tell you two things. Publicly, he is saying he does not want Tom Aspinall. Privately, he is waiting for a phone call to tell him the date so he can go fight Tom Aspinall. That is as direct with you as I can be. That fight is a 100% go, and they could make it today. Anything that you're hearing that Jon Jones is holding that fight up, Jon Jones is having some fun with the fans because the fans have been a bit of jerks to him. As far as fighting Tom Aspinall, take me at my word when I tell you Jon Jones will be there.
Since the heavyweight champion will then retire, Sonnen is certain that this fight will take place and thinks it will be Jon Jones's last fight. Although Chell is unsure if Jones will defeat Tom, he believes Jon will give it his all against Aspin. After this fight, he will undoubtedly declare his retirement, but he expressed his opinions. If you were looking for my most audacious forecast for 2025, Sonnen stated Daniel Cormier on ESPN MMA, I'm actually very confident in the prediction, which is that Jon Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. I will tell you that Jon will do far better with Tom than some people think, but that will be discussed when the fight is over, whether it ends well or not. It will definitely be Jon's last appearance, in my opinion. In addition, Michael Bisping, a former middleweight champion and UFC analyst, believes Jon Jones should receive the payment. Michael claims that since 2008, the current heavyweight champion has played a crucial role in the UFC. He competed in the heavyweight and lightweight weight classes, winning the light heavyweight title in 2011. The Count revealed the specifics of the altercation in his YouTube show. According to Michael Bisping, the greatest fighter of all time will almost certainly face Tom Aspinall and receive a salary of almost $30 million. Joe Rogan discussed that on his podcast. As we all know, Jon Jones kind of backed off from taking on Tom Aspinall before the Stipe fight, which was a brilliant marketing move because it increased demand and made the fight something that everyone wanted.
16 title fights, let's say you got $3 million for each of them, right? And that's probably being conservative, if I'm honest. 16 times 3, that is $48 million. On top of the $30 million that he's going to get from this one. Jon Jones has done extremely well out of mixed martial arts. And if he only had this one payday alone, $30 million. If you've got a smart business manager, you can put $30 million to one side. You'll get roughly 10% interest. That is $3 million a year in interest for the rest of your life. Jon Jones will never ever have to fight another day of his life.